that is the part Yasmin did not cover. The first thing that, I mean, Yasmin has shown us all the picture and the fun part from the program, so I think perhaps my recap would be focused on the professional relationship part. Have different perspective for you guys. Does that sound good? First thing that caught my attention is when we work there, we have 5 accelerated courses consecutive to each other. We don't have 5 parallel courses, so you don't get out from 331 class and go to 202 class. You just have one course for 3 weeks, 9 to 4, same professor, same kind of work, submitted, it's done. And I think that's the most part that made us feel like real world journalists, because when you, like they said before, when you really send an email saying I'm a student journalist, it's just, I'm a journalist, and people get to interview you. You have the whole day time. You don't get to tell your guests, I'm sorry, I have class, and that makes the whole difference, I guess. Like Yasmin mentioned, my first semester was the international experience, and I traveled around. My whole traveling in the year and a half was 10 countries. For the Schengen visa, I don't think that is the most you can make out of it, but I also was focused on academics a little bit, so as I mentioned while Yasmin was talking, 1 week after I arrived to Copenhagen, there was this Copenhagen shooting. Everything was terrifying. I was literally in the street parallel to it. We had to get used to different narratives, like our Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is there, immigration and integration, like the phrases people use in the political, journalistic kind of talks, like the whole, I don't know, atmosphere is very different. There are the hot topics per se. You have to get used to that in order to have your journalistic topics relevant. So I guess, yeah, that's one important thing to focus on when you first arrive. By the end of my semester, I had my first semester, I managed to have an internship at the state TV. It's called TV2. That's my name on the screen also. The screenshot was in archive. And as a runner, that's basically the person carrying the equipment, because everything was in Danish. I didn't get the word. I had to attend 9 to 10 a.m. meetings in Danish just because. But yeah, it turned out pretty good. That's also, like that was the journalist and the camera person and me running the equipment. Yeah. By the end of it, when I was actually going to extend my visa to stay for the internship, I went to the international office and she was like, "Are you excited to go home?" And I was like, "Yes." And she was like, "We have this year in the world program, it's 1 year advanced bachelor's diploma. People do it as a senior year thing or just after they graduate for masters. It's basically a really advanced program in journalism, and if you want to join it, I talked to Dr. Kim and Dr. Firas, and things were surprisingly made convenient for me. I didn't expect that any of the credit hours for this program would be transferred to me, but they did, and that's why I basically was able to go on. I came back to see my family for 3 weeks and went back to the Netherlands because the Europe in the World program is mainly offered by the Danish school, but they do like the first semester of it, like they send their students on exchange from the to the Netherlands because there we got to learn disciplines we have to use while being journalists: sustainable development, cultural identity, European politics, European law, European economics, all in one semester, and not on a beginner level. The main thing I think about this program, where it's not currently all the exchange offerings from AC, but hopefully we're trying to work in that. But you can always do it as study abroad. It's 1 year experience. Half of it is in the Netherlands. That's why I didn't get to meet me, and the other half is in Denmark. It's very competitive. It's not at all lovely international spirit. It's very competitive. People like try to get chances from each other in all convenient and inconvenient conventional methods. In my first week there, I also, like Yasmin, went to meet a refugee for an interview. I started to face really bad challenges. Like I was wondering, he wanted to stay in contact with me because he wanted help with some issues because he didn't speak English or Dutch. From one ethical point of view, I really wanted to stay in contact with him. I wanted to help him. But in the same time, I wasn't sure about the safety, and I didn't know this guy. I was in a country on my own. Everything with the security was very disturbed. So these kind of decisions where you don't get to do as a student, I was really exposed to that, and I'm very grateful for it. And then I went to Brussels. And I had a trip scheduled to visit a friend in Paris just after Brussels. But that week, Paris attacks. It's a curse of being Egyptian, I guess. And I didn't go. I was terrified. I didn't want to go in the atmosphere and the circumstances. And I stayed in Brussels. In Brussels, there was a neighborhood called Molenbeek. It's a very popular name in Europe nowadays because two of the assailants who did the Paris attacks were originally Moroccan roots, but born and raised in Brussels in Molenbeek. I went there to write about that. And that was the next level of real life experience where people were protesting the Molenbeek residents. They wanted to basically tell people we too are against this. And my article was titled Molenbeek too stands against Paris. A lot of things happened, like the brother of the two assailants was in the protest saying, condemning what his brothers did. It was a very complicated situation. It wasn't that safe, and I talked to the mayor and the police just on ground, and I didn't even know this was the mayor. Someone looked important, so can I interview you? And then she ends up being the mayor. Cool. The last thing I did, the last highlight for me in my semester in Holland was this guy. There was an honors program offered by the school, which is basically as much as extracurricular activities you do for the program, like bringing speakers from outside school, doing extra work, leading your team. It had its criteria, which I can give to you guys later. Then we're an honor student by the end of it, so it's not GPA, it's effort. So I decided, I just channeled to this journalist's Facebook page, and he just did a report that I really liked, and then I thought, why don't we get this guy to give a lecture in our school? He's a journalist at Russia Today. At age 21, he dropped out of school and decided to go to Gaza because he felt strongly about the war there in 2012 and wanted to film documentaries and use his skills and make a live streaming for how life went there. So he left school, went there, casually stayed there, covered the 2012 war, the 2014 war, and then was hired by Russia Today, UK branch when they just opened, because of freelance to them. And it was a really insightful experience because he basically had this person who is a journalist at the heart but never got a degree in journalism. And his life story, after that he also introduces himself as a convert to Islam, so he has his originally British, so he's got basically a whole world in one person. It was an amazing lecture. He came from the UK all the way to Netherlands to give the lecture. And it was a very international lecture, like 20 people from all around the world were sitting. A lecturer who traveled 2 hours to come, and the graphic designer of this poster did it in Lebanon because she was a friend of someone in the group. Submitted the final project and traveled to Denmark once again, where I met Farah. I took a bus, a 19-hour bus, because it cost 70 euros. But my whole class did, so we went together, and it was one of the most enjoyable and miserable experiences I've ever had. When we stopped to put gas into the bus, we were on the border, we were literally on the side of the streets, of the Netherlands, and the other street was Germany. And for someone who's Arab, that's like a bit different. We've never seen that easygoing borders. So yeah, it's
In Malmo, no one ever does it. No one knows
Thank you. Coming back to Denmark, it was, I think, the most confident and well-accentuated part of the experience, because I've been there, done that, and I've been used to being at floating around with different words. Bubbles was a very insightful experience, and it wasn't any more intimidating. Even coming back to Egypt, it was perhaps I was a bit unsure about it at first. It was just very smooth, because you just get to love the idea of floating around different bubbles and not being trapped into one. The highlights of Denmark's semester is we traveled to the UK to make a project. It was one of our biggest projects where we actually designed a magazine online from scratch. It's called Reviews. People from my class did all that. We traveled to 5 countries. As you can see, Bosnia, Italy, Macedonia, Ukraine, and the UK. I chose to travel to the UK. And I was also, as a part of the honors program, I was an editor of the team going to the UK. So that basically included reading everyone's articles, going through them, planning for traveling, putting the target audience and everything that is related to the general scope of the magazine, and not just my country. The most challenging thing is that my group that was going to the UK had 2 English people, and I had to offer something different than their knowledge about the context and the country to offer as an editor, and I think it went good enough. Last final project was a project about the use of medical cannabis in Denmark. So I had to go to places where basically the police didn't go in, because everyone was like, cannabis was implicitly legalized, and it was like the hippies last big dangerous part of the country. Copenhagen. It was a different experience, definitely. And that was our last day of the program. And that was my honors certificate. This red one, I really had a hard time getting it. One last point. The most difficult thing in Denmark is Ramadan. Skip Ramadan if you're fasting.